Let's talk about La Rosey.
The richest school in the world.
Extra expensive.
The most expensive boarding schools in the world.
How do you guys think Stadtguy became so famous? First, he won the hearts of the trendsetters, La Rosey kids. Every winter, entire school relocates to a second campus in this exclusive Swiss ski resort.
During COVID, there was a 2-week minimum stay at hotels in Switzerland. The room rate is like 2,000 plus per night. Students of La Rosey would get a room at the hotel for 14 nights, just so they could have pizza. So that's the level of absurdity.
Today, the tuition is around 140k a year. That's twice as much as NYU or Yale.
We're rich kids. We went to boarding school in Switzerland.
And that only covers the basics: classes, housing, meals. But of course, there is also pocket money. And let's be clear, that does not include vacations, designer shopping, because things get tough when someone finds out that you fly business and not private. Cringe. When my sister was at boarding school in England, she recalls a story how her friend whispered to her, "I think Luca's family lost the money. I saw him fly commercial to Milan." Luca did not recover from that. The student body is kept for 10% per nationality, not for diversity, but to prevent any one group from dominating. Interesting. Is this us witnessing the rich striving for equality? Only when it's convenient for their kids, as always. As for the alumni, this is where things get cinematic. Andrea Kazigari, Grace Kelly's grandson, Dodi Al-Fayed, Princess Diana's last boyfriend, Sean Hepburn Ferrer, Audrey Hepburn's son. There are also the invisible ones. Some of my Ukrainian and Russian friends went under their mom's last names, not to stay private, but to avoid sparking investigations back at home. I mean, you know how it goes. Corruption and shit. One of the first things you learn at the elite boarding school like La Rosey isn't calculus. It's the dialect of the 0.1%. Because we don't speak mother tongues. We speak in summer destination slang picked up on the boats and curse words we collected at the boarding schools. It sounds like this. A Japanese boy casually drops "Yalla" when he's on the way to the club. The Italian kid whispers "Suka blядь" when he misses the shot in tennis. The French girl says "Inshallah" when talking about passing the exam. No one is from the same place, but we all speak the same language. It's not about fluency, it's about the signals. Years later, when you run into each other in Colombia or on holiday in Gstaad, you won't need to explain a thing. They'll know if you're an outsider or one of them by testing if you speak the international student slang. Because in the world of top 1%, students know that privilege is not about wealth, it's about knowledge.
My first semester in school, my roommate was Muslim, so I learned about Ramadan, which I had never known about.
The second thing you learn is how to analyze people by what their parents do for a living. Not because you care yet, but because your parents care. Here's how it goes. You get a new friend, text Baba their last name, and when you call Baba in the evening, he provides you with the entire details on that family, their family drama, what they do. Now you know everything, and now you can better understand your friend. And when Baba's business is in trouble, let's say hypothetically, he's under investigations in 3 countries.
Could be war crimes, but I don't know. He has a dartboard with the Geneva Convention on it.
What do? You do not panic. You just arrange a casual spring break in Marbella, invite your roommate's family, and while you two are jet skiing, your dad is taking deals over April with someone who knows how to make a few legal issues disappear. It's a really bonding experience to save your dad from prison before your 16th birthday. And now, without even realizing it, you're slowly becoming a part of family's business. Because boarding school isn't just the networking for the kids, it's soft diplomacy for parents. These schools are controlled environments where the global elite can keep their children safe, connected, and useful. Your teenage son doesn't know how to open a bank account yet, but he knows exactly which Swiss family to call when your oil license is delayed. Before we continue the episode about boarding schools, I want to talk about the struggles which many students face. Bullying. Nearly 60% of boarding school students report being bullied while being away from home. And often, the more privileged the environment is, the less it's talked about. When I was in elementary school, some of my peers were making comments which were making me uncomfortable. And despite me being extremely close with my parents, I felt ashamed to admit this, and only shared this experience with my parents when I was in my early 20s. Experiences like this stay with you, and sometimes you carry them into your adulthood without even understanding what weight you're carrying on your shoulders. That's why I want to thank BetterHelp for making this episode possible. Therapy helped me to see my struggles, whether from adulthood or childhood, which deserved my attention. Therapy is not about being weak, it's about refusing to carry everything by yourself. BetterHelp is entirely online. It works around your schedule. Just fill in a quick questionnaire and you'll be matched with the licensed therapist who understands your worries. So if you are dealing with uncertainty, pressure, or the weight of today's economy, you don't have to do it all alone. Head to betterhelp.com/privilegedview or click the link in the description to get 10% off your first therapy. Because maybe the best investment you can make is the one in yourself. And now, let's get back to our episode. And now, let's fly north, far from Gstaad, away from Rolexes, and deep into the forests of Finland. Did you know that there are pretty much no private schools in Finland? Like, they literally said, no, everybody gets the same education. Rich, poor, royal, farmer, that doesn't matter. You're all in the same math class. But it wasn't always like this. In the 1970s, Finland made a decision that feels almost utopian by today's standards. They eliminated the divide between public and private education. How? Well, first, by making all schools publicly funded, including private ones. Second, private schools are not allowed to charge tuition fees. And lastly, all schools follow the national curriculum. Because in Finland, they realized something powerful. The best way to close the opportunity gap is to make sure that the rich and poor learn in the same classroom. And it worked. Finland consistently ranks among the top countries globally for education outcomes. Their students report lower stress and better well-being. And lastly, economic mobility is significantly higher than in countries with rigid class-based education systems. Oh, and the teachers are treated like doctors. They're respected, trusted, and hard to become. But the real magic? When rich kids can't hide behind legacy admissions and poor kids don't have to dream about better schools, you build a society with less resentment and more understanding. There is no us versus them. It's just we did math together. And that changes everything. From how people hire, to how people vote, to how they treat each other on the streets. Hey, bunny. Thank you. Hello?
How do boarding school kids really treat scholarship kids? Is it more positive, negative, or neutral?
It really depends. Actually, when I went to school, we had a lot of children whose parents were our teachers. And they were actually one of the coolest kids. It's actually a stereotype that if you are a scholarship kid, you cannot be the coolest, because usually they have the best sense of humor. But no, they're treated pretty equally, but sometimes they feel left out when there are some trips planned, but usually your rich friends would just chip in for you. Honestly, it's all about your personality. But sometimes people are bitches. But isn't it like this everywhere? Good luck. Yes?
My husband and I are planning to relocate to France for about 2 years, but we've also been seriously considering Switzerland as a long-term home. Our goal is to build a strong foundation for our future children, one rooted in a well-rounded, affluent, and globally minded culture. If you had to choose between raising children in France or Switzerland, which would you choose and why? Also, when it comes to education, would you lean more toward the traditional private school or a boarding school experience?
Fun fact, I actually got accepted into boarding school when I was 16. I was supposed to go to Deerfield, but I lied to my parents that I didn't get accepted after they already paid the deposit. I made something up and later, on my birthday, they actually found out the truth. I think boarding schools are pretty great, but I think it should also depend on your children's character. For example, I was so not ready to leave my family and my home. If private school and not boarding school is a better choice for your kids, then you should definitely do that. Talking about France over Switzerland, You've mentioned that you want multicultural experience. In Switzerland, there are definitely going to be way more international students. So then it's going to be easier for your children to get accepted into London or the United States. So I would definitely go with Switzerland. Good luck! You can take it. I'm done with the calls for today. I was surrounded by rich kids who, like me, thought that our problems were normal. One week someone's dad lost his business. The next, someone's mom was in court for money laundering. Another friend's family went from unknown to billionaire status overnight because they sponsored the right candidate. The conversations I heard weren't shocking. They were casual. But every now and then, I step outside of my bubble and then I realize how out of touch I am. Just a couple years ago, I learned that people actually have budgets for grocery shopping. And I know that for you, it will sound insane and it will look like I'm spoiled. But I want to be an example of how out of touch these types of people are. My parents said that they put me in this world to protect me from witnessing or even hearing about poverty. Maybe they themselves were so traumatized by it that the word public started sounding like the word failure to them. They gave me access, safety, and proximity to power. But how can we expect equality when we can never relate to each other's problems? When to you, my problems look stupid, while I was raised in an environment where people said that those who didn't make it just didn't work hard enough, which is a complete bullshit. And I understand that now we were raised to dislike each other. As I get older, I often think, what choice will I make when it's my turn to pick a school for my children? Because it's very easy to preach about equality until you're faced with the choice yourself. And something tells me, I know what choice I'll make. And that choice tells you everything you need to know about the good rich like me. So the question is, if we build bubbles for our children, are we protecting them or making sure that they never question the world that benefits them? Like, subscribe, ring a bell, and as always, do whatever you want with this information.